Welcome into the coach's office. Season 3, episode 1 is underway, and we're going to kick this thing off in style with the college football playoffs, early signing day, the FSU coaching search. Is it ever going to end? Are they going to have a head coach? I might put my name in. And when to fire a coach? When's a good time for that? All this and more on the coach's office.
And it starts now.
The following is a presentation.
Hopefully you're recording.
Yeah, I am. All right.
Go Knights!
The following is a special presentation of the coach's office.
I never pun on Madden.
Go Knowles!
I don't even know what roll tide means.
I mean, let them in. What is there to lose? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, all right. Glad to have you in here. Why was everyone so concerned with the outfield play for the movie to be called Angels in the Outfield?
Where'd you get your shirt? Foot Locker? Uh-oh. Murphy's calling.
And now your hosts, Kyle Donahue and Matt Ripley.
How's it? Welcome into the Coach's Office Season 3.
We're back.
Coming at you. My name is Kyle Donahue along with Matt Ripley. We got a great show for you on this podcast. Matt,
We missed you. We missed all the people out there.
Yes, we missed the people. Thank you for listening to us, if you are listening to us.
Hey, and congratulations to all the high school coaches that came in through the pod right there at the beginning of high school football season. A lot of coaches saw some success. Obviously, some coaches maybe didn't end the way that you wanted it to, but we're glad to see some good things happen for some of those guys that came through for us, and we hope your off-season's going okay right now.
So while high school season might be over, the college football playoffs are just about to kick up. So
It's gone by fast.
Dive deep into the playoffs and see who's in, who's out,
We need more teams.
who's got a shot.
We need more teams. It needs to be bigger than 4 teams.
Let's do like 64,
No. Then we'd have
68.
January madness.
December, January madness.
There's a lot of teams looking to get in, and to me, this year, it's probably the most wide open from number, let's say 2-ish, because I think it's going to be LSU or Georgia. No doubt one of those will get in, but I think the other 3 spots could be up in the air, and that, to me, adds the drama to it that they wanted going into the conference championship
I think they're
games.
pretty set unless chaos happens.
I'd like to see some chaos.
We'll talk about that here in a second. Go ahead and read us off the top 8.
So what you got right now is you've got Ohio State sitting at the top spot. I think is deserved. A lot of folks think LSU should be there, but I think
LSU.
anyway,
I think
LSU. We'll talk about it in a second.
They're proven. They're both
LSU in the 2 spot, Clemson in the 3 spot, the University of Georgia in the 4 spot. So that's your current top 4, and then in 5 is the Utah Utes still holding on strong, Oklahoma and Baylor. So. And then you got Wisconsin sitting on the outside looking in right there. I think Wisconsin in the 8 spot is probably about the most outside looking in shot. And then, Florida right there at 9.
Boo!
No hard feelings.
Boo!
How'd that go for you? And then we lost to him too, so I can't say anything.
Damn.
And then Penn State rounds out the top 10. I really thought Penn State, I really thought they'd pull it off. If they don't lose to Iowa, I think they're in the conversation. Minnesota was in the conversation until they got beat by Wisconsin. I mean, a lot of folks were saying that they'd be able to row their boat into the playoff if they won the Big Ten championship. I think Ohio State would have been too big of an adversary.
Before we get started, can I just throw this out there?
Sure.
Let me clear my throat for this. James Franklin, if you're listening,
Oh boy,
we're still.
He's not leaving.
We're still available.
not leaving.
We'll talk about that here in a minute, but we're still available. James,
He likes the atmosphere in Happy Valley.
it's nice and cool.
I don't think he's leaving. To me, that would be a lateral move.
Whatever.
Maybe even a demotion.
We'll talk about it.
Demotion right
We'll get to it.
Hey, it's
Segment
okay.
2.
It's all right.
Stay tuned. Segment 2.
So, do you think? So, you're saying you feel like it's pretty well set. You think OSU, LSU, Clemson, they're in.
So let's go over the. I do.
Give us the details.
Let's go over the games going on this weekend. So LSU and Georgia playing for the SEC championship. We've got Oklahoma and Baylor. That's probably the closest matchup game. Those two. We got Clemson and Virginia. Virginia, I'm sorry, but I don't see you
think they got
winning.
it.
But if you do, we'll talk about it here in a second. Wisconsin and Ohio State in the Big Ten. In the Pac-12 is Utah and Oregon coming at you.
I think to take from Lee Corso on.
Not so fast, my friend.
Yeah, not so fast, but closer than the experts think.
Ooh.
I think LSU Georgia is going to be close. I think if the Georgia offense, I think if Jake Fromm can get going, but here's my thing with Georgia. They've got to have a running game. If they can establish a running game early, I think the Georgia defense can slow down Joe Burrow. I think it's going to be closer than the experts think. Now, Ohio State, Wisconsin, I think Ohio State's going to run away with it. I think it'll be close early, but I think Ohio State ends up pulling away in that one. Clemson, Virginia, I think it's going to be Clemson big. I think Dabo is going to have them polished and ready to go. So that puts us in the 4th spot because if Georgia loses,
Everybody's hating on Clemson.
yeah, well they don't
Clemson.
have. They didn't play anybody. They played nobody.
So let's take a look. Let's go team by team.
All right.
And kind of wrote down a little team by team. Clemson, they win, they're in.
Right.
Obviously, they're sitting at number 3. They win, they're in. They lose though. I say they're out.
I agree.
They have the 80th strength of schedule.
Yeah.
80. Now, is that their fault? No. Florida State was terrible this year. Sorry, everybody.
They didn't hold up.
Miami was terrible. You know, everybody in their conference, they did not play a team that was 7-5, that finished 7-5 all year long. No team they played 7-5, over 7-5.
Well, Virginia's 23rd. They're 9-3. Struggled against an okay Virginia Tech team. You lose to Virginia, you're out.
They beat Florida State.
Yeah, whatever. Who didn't? I'm sorry.
That's
Too
okay.
soon.
That's okay. That's all right. So, it's only UVA's only their second ranked opponent they've played all year. So it'll be interesting to see. I think they'll have them. I think Dabo will have them ready to play. I think they'll be ticked off enough. I think he knows what he's doing as far as you know the media hates us. Whatever.
Outside noise. Yeah.
Yeah. I think he's spurred something here at the end of the year that they're going to come out and play well. So you got Clemson in there. Sitting at number 1 is Ohio State, 12-0. Obviously they win. They're in. If they lose,
That's tough.
there's some chaos going to go on.
Do they get left out?
So here's the thing. The playoff committee has set a precedent. Never in the history of the playoffs has a team made the playoffs after losing their conference game.
Right.
Does Ohio State break that mold?
Style of win goes into it.
They've got 3 wins over top 15 teams.
And quality, like a quality win. It's not field goal wins. I mean, they beat them.
So they're playing Wisconsin this week. They won. They beat them the first time, 38-7. If they beat them again, I think they're in. Obviously, if they lose, I think they're in, unless it's a rout.
Yeah.
If Wisconsin comes out and just routs them, I'll be seeing you.
Yeah.
But I think almost no matter what, Ohio State's a lock to get in.
I could go both ways on that. One, yes, I think you're losing to a number 8 Wisconsin team. So, and you like you said, they've shown that they can beat the top teams before, but to me, I think Wisconsin deserves. This goes back to should it be conference champions in the playoffs, and to me, Wisconsin deserves that. But like you said, they lost to Ohio State. They're going to have a lot. That'll be a tough room to be in on Selection Sunday. That's tough.
Yeah. I wouldn't want that decision. I don't think Wisconsin, unless they blow out Ohio State, I don't think they're going to make it.
And I don't think they will.
I don't either. I think Ohio State's even better. But back to my point, no team's ever made it, but no team's ever been number 1 either.
Yeah.
So you bump from number 1 to number 5? I don't know. It depends on, I guess, the style.
And it depends on how everybody else shakes out. Because if you have Georgia win, if you have Utah win, well, Georgia obviously win and you're in. Is LSU out? Is Utah in? I mean, that you got a good Georgia team and a good Utah team right there. And Georgia, I mean, outside of whatever happened against South Carolina, they should be undefeated. So that should happen there. So at the time of this recording.
So we just got the news that James Franklin has been extended. Wow, that was a whole 12 minutes. Thanks, James. Wow.
I was listening to the coach's office on my way in, and I decided
I hated what that guy was saying.
that Matt Ripley guy was right. I do like it here at Happy Valley.
I am going to stay.
I am going to stay.
So let's look at LSU and Georgia. Winner stays, right? Winner stays no matter what. Georgia does win. That makes the only loss for LSU
to a one-loss Georgia team.
I mean, that's the best possible loss you could have, I guess,
I think so.
to the team in the playoff in the conference championship. But should the playoff committee put a team in the playoffs that just lost to an opponent at a neutral site game?
Now, that's where they are with. So imagine this, if you will. LSU, Ohio State both lose.
Ooh.
Do they both still deserve? I mean, are the playoffs set in their mind?
So if they put them in, does the conference championship even matter?
Yeah. I mean, so what are you saying? I can go to this thing and lose it, then I'm going to rest my starters. I'm going to take the loss and prepare for the playoffs. I mean, that's what that becomes, I think.
It'll be interesting for the. I think this year more than any other year, other than that first year when we were like, who's going to be the 4?
Yeah.
I think this year is
Top to
essentially
bottom.
wide open.
Yeah.
There's a couple spots that you can say might be a lock, but I think it's wide open.
They're hoping that everybody wins and it just makes their job
Yeah.
easier.
Oh, yeah.
Just all y'all win and then we ain't got to worry about it.
All right, so Georgia, you're also winning.
Wait a minute.
It's going to be a tie, and we're just going to stick to the 4.
Who do you take, Utah or Oklahoma?
Well, that was what we were going to talk about. Utah, you lose and you're out, obviously.
Oh, yeah. No
They're
doubt.
playing number 13 Oregon.
The Ducks.
Utah's number 5. Their only hope is to win
Big, I think.
and hope for a stronger They don't need anybody to lose because either they need, obviously, Georgia to lose, I
I think
guess,
Georgia has to lose.
for them. But
But here again, though, here we are. Does LSU deserve to stay in over Utah?
That's a good point.
To me, yes, because I would take LSU over Utah because who's Utah played compared to who's LSU played?
I don't know.
To me, you got a
BYU team that
Oh yeah,
beat Florida
you
State?
got a Washington Huskies team that goes into as the number 4 seed and gets routed. I mean, I don't need Utah to go in as the 4 seed, go up against number 1 Ohio State and get beat 70-0.
Yeah.
I mean what's
That's
the point
frustrating.
of that? Yeah,
I
what's the
hate
point of
doing
that?
Yeah. And then you got Oklahoma. Oklahoma's sitting at number 6. They're 11-1, and they're playing number 7 Baylor. Ooh.
Yeah.
Rematch.
Rematch.
I think if they win, they've got the leg up on Utah.
Yeah, I think so.
I think Baylor.
It's a
sitting at
more
number
quality
7.
win.
Here's a question: Utah wins, Baylor beats number 6. Georgia loses. Who's out? Who's in?
That's some grade A drama. I think Baylor's win over Oklahoma. I guess it depends on how it turns out.
Yeah.
If Utah blows out Oregon, then maybe they take Utah. But if it's close with Oregon and Baylor beats Oklahoma, I'm taking Baylor because of the style of the win, because of who they beat, not necessarily the style of the win. I mean, Oregon's just here. Oregon's just here to mess things up.
Yeah,
Virginia's
they sure
just
are.
here to mess things
Yeah.
up. I mean, that's even Wisconsin to an extent. I'm just here to mess this whole thing up. So they've really got nothing to lose. So that, to me, it's as wide open to me as it could get, and I think it goes to make it a little bit easier. Conference champion, you win it, you're in it. But then you get into this whole thing of does Virginia, if they were
Well,
the
then
champion,
there's 5 conferences.
yeah. So then
The Big 5.
who plays
The
in?
Power 5. There's only 4 spots.
What if
Again,
you?
that's why I think let's go back to last year's conversation. I think there should be 8 spots. You take all 5 conference winners.
Right.
You win your conference championship. You come on and play. Then you give me 3 of the best next.
Of the group of 5.
Give me 1 group of 5 and give me whoever.
Yeah.
And there's your 8. And let's play.
Take the next 3 highest or conference champion, and then or maybe like the highest ranked out of the group of 5. The next 3 top highest ranked group of 5 teams.
It's gonna be a tough decision. It'll be fun to watch.
I think a team like Appy State could make some noise in the first round. In the first round of 8 teams, an Appy State
Memphis.
champion potentially from the Sun Belt, Memphis.
We'll get to Memphis
Wow,
in a minute.
sheesh,
Memphis
all the drama.
or Cincinnati.
Cincy.
Well, we'll be back right after these messages.
The coach's office is now looking for a title sponsor. Your name would be over the whole entire show, or commercial sponsors. If you or someone you know owns a business and would be interested, please contact us either on Facebook, on Twitter, or through our email, thecoachesofficeshow@gmail.com. And we'd love to have you be a part of the coach's office. Welcome back inside the coach's office. Now we shift gears to the coaching carousel, the time that everybody looks forward to, everybody's favorite amusement park ride this time of year as coaches are let go and programs begin to find the diamond in the rough. And so now the Mighty Seminoles, they've been on this ride a little bit longer than everybody else.
I feel like we just got off this ride.
They are unconquered and uncoached.
This is like at Dollywood. My wife wants to just keep riding rides, and I get sick. I get motion sick. I don't want to keep riding the rides.
Back in line.
But here we are, back again after a 9-12 record at Florida State, and the day after a 27-10 embarrassing loss to rival Miami. Willie Taggart was relieved of his duties. He was 0-5 against rivals. Soon to be, if things were going the way they were looking, he was going to be 0-6 against rivals with a loss to Florida. But he didn't get to see that game.
Didn't quite make it.
And for those of you that know Florida State football, we didn't get the old Christmas tree out on the lawn. Jimbo left his Christmas tree, threw his Christmas tree out before he left, so that was fun to watch.
Yeah, so Matt Campbell.
All right, so let's talk about the candidates that have been thrown around.
Some of the best ones are already off the table.
If you like Florida State, one of the best podcasts I can send you to is the Nolecast. Shout out to Bud and Ingram. They have no clue who I am, but I listen to them religiously once a week.
Is that old Kyle Donahue?
Me and my friend Clayton, we talk about it once a week. I've been texting him the last, 2 or 3 weeks, just, every day.
Could it be?
Who could it be?
Could today be the day?
Candidates. Number one candidate. And one of the reasons I think they fired him so early is they were big game hunting.
Yeah.
And there's no bigger game than Big Game Bob.
Okay.
Big Game Bob. We went after Bob Stoops. I don't know how long they went after Bob Stoops. Hopefully they went after him long enough to make him say no a couple times.
Please. I said no.
But there's really no advantage. We were talking about this the other day. There's really no advantage to firing your coach super early to go after a coach that's already coaching.
Because it's not going to happen.
No one's going to leave their program after week 8 and say, yeah, see you guys.
Or announce that they're leaving.
Yeah, or anybody worth their salt.
Right.
I mean, somebody that sucks might say, oh, we suck. Let's get out of here. I'm putting my Christmas tree at the driveway. But anyway, so you got Bob Stoops, and then you got his brother, Mark Stoops. I didn't think Mark, I liked him when he was at Florida State, but I didn't think he was really.
I think he's held his own at Kentucky.
Yeah, he's done all right. But I didn't think he was a big contender. And you don't really want, after you're going after somebody's brother, you don't want to get, the little sister. Hey, by the way.
Hey, man.
We couldn't get him, but we would like you.
Hey, we like you better.
So we hired DHR International, paid them $100K to go try and find us a coach. PJ Fleck's name was thrown out there. He turned it down, and within a day, he had an extension. Matt Campbell, Iowa State, he turned it down. He got an extension. James Franklin, as we just found out, turned us down and got an extension. Brian Kelly was thrown out there. I don't think he got an extension yet.
No. Well, he's not done as hot at UCLA as everybody thought. Yeah, I mean at Notre Dame, Kelly. Yeah. Got my Kellys mixed up.
Get in here, Kelly.
Got my Kellys mixed up.
Get over here, Kelly.
Cousins, maybe.
You got Odell Haggins, who's the interim right now. He's gone 2-1 this year. Overall, he's gone 4-1 in 2 different coaching searches.
And he don't want it.
He's
think he'll come around?
He's applied for it. He's interviewed for it.
Really?
But I think he's more of their fallback guy. I don't think his showing against Florida really was all that impressive either. If he would have done well against Florida, I could see them kind of throwing it to him. He's a Florida State guy. Everybody always points to the Coach O at LSU. But Coach O did so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody forgets about the
lean years.
The Ole Miss years when he was terrible and they had to fire him. But anyway.
They want the big name. I think that's what they're after.
So, Mike Norvell.
That's not a bad hire.
Mike Norvell, if you don't know anything about him, he's in Memphis.
Proven winner.
He is a proven winner. I've got his record. He's 37-15.
Yeah.
4 years at Memphis. Again, that is the AAC, but
head coaching experience.
He's never been a P5 coach, head coach. So who knows?
Memphis hosted game day.
I think, yeah. Maybe we can get game day back. That'd be something to look forward to.
Please.
It's just so stressful. It's been a month and they still haven't hired somebody. I think from a fan's perspective, it's just drug on, and we just want somebody.
That's
Get anybody.
Well, that's where it gets dangerous because then you start to settle, and then you start being okay with anybody. Speaking from recent experience as the Mighty Vols, which were in a coaching search the last time you were also in a coaching search.
Yes, we were also at the same time. You've held out longer.
we so far we're doing okay.
I thought Tennessee's gotten better throughout the year. I thought
Looked a little bleak there at the front end. But they turned it around. Is Pruitt still the national champion guy? That has yet to be seen. But the thing about Florida State is, and when you go big game hunting, is if you don't get the big one, then you're disappointed. And some of the names that they tossed out, to me, just weren't happening. P.J. Fleck, when I first heard it, I was like, no way. But then I kind of thought about it a little bit. I was like, that would be a bump up for him. Minnesota he's done a great job. Row the Boat is all in up there.
I'm a PJ Fleck.
Oh, I think he's fantastic, and I'd take him tomorrow.
I like his phrases, but the culture he's built, especially if you watch any of his press conference after the game, or you listen to any of the players talk, they're all in. He gets his guys, and I think that's something that's really cool that he brings.
But with Minnesota, you win 8 games. Oh yeah, you got this. 9 games. I mean, I think where he's at right now, they love him. And I think he can. I think he can compete, in the Big Ten. And so as he goes and he continues to build this thing, I definitely could see him turning this into something. The only downside is he's in the Big Ten. I mean, that's just going to be tough to compete in year after year. The Big Ten to me has gotten very tough. I think top to bottom, I would argue that they could rival the SEC as far as the amount of quality teams. To me, the SEC doesn't have the amount of quality teams that it's used to having. You got LSU, you got Alabama, you got Georgia, and I'll put Florida in there, and that's really it. I mean, your Mississippi States, your Ole Misses, Arkansas got beat by everybody. Vandy not as good as it was. Kentucky does okay. I mean, Tennessee.
There it is.
We finished 3rd in the East.
There it is.
So to me, everybody
like
talks about how tough the SEC is. To me, it's not that tough right now. So. James Franklin, same thing. I think right now, winning 8 or 9 at Penn State, 10 at Penn State is enough. But I think in a couple years, 2 more years, I think if he's not winning, then you're going to start hearing the grumblings.
Well, we might hit him back up because who knows?
Might be on this carousel again.
I think Florida State is it is guaranteed a top 10 job, maybe
I agree.
In the top 5-6 job in the nation. You've got the hotbed of
I'd
Florida.
say 8.
Right there in your backyard. You've got a conference where you compete with
you could win
Clemson,
in the ACC.
And that's it.
Yeah, you could win in the ACC.
You win the ACC. That, as we talked, you almost guarantee yourself a spot in the playoff. They've got everything. They talk
Facilities.
like they're going to. Yeah, Jimbo talked about facilities being terrible. I don't know what he's talking about. They're on par with just about everybody else, but I think it's top 5-6 job. What job are you going to leave Florida State for to go get another job that's better than Florida State, other than leaving like Jimbo did
Texas A&M?
for $400 million?
Just for a bigger paycheck.
Yeah.
I mean, that's...
Yeah. I mean, and I'm not trying to be biased. If I am, just let me know. But I think Florida State is a destination job that you can stay. If you can win, Willie couldn't win. If you can win there and you have some discipline, I think you can make a name for yourself for a long time.
I agree with that. Especially, like I said, you're in the hotbed of recruiting. Miami, not too good right now. I mean, yeah, the world's a bigger place. Your Florida Atlantics, your Florida Internationals, your USF, your UCF national champions, quote unquote, a couple years ago. So that definitely thins out the state a little bit. But I still think Florida State football is still associated with excellence. I hate to say that.
The logo.
Yeah.
The
spear.
logo at Florida State is better than anything in the state of Florida.
Yeah, we'll say that.
They'll compete with if they're Miami's facilities aren't even on campus.
Yeah.
Okay, Miami's down. They got their guy and they're still not very good. Call me Miami fans.
They want rid of him already.
Yeah, they already want rid of the golden child. I think Florida State they can pick and choose when they get to that level. Obviously now they're not going to.
They're going to have to settle right now, I think.
Yeah.
I think a Memphis coach, I think Memphis could win. I really do think that he could win.
Yeah, so Norvell might just be the last man standing.
I think he might be the best of what's left.
He might be the best of the third tier.
Yeah.
And we may have to settle, and it is what it is.
His teams can score. They can run.
So last year, they were 8th in yards per play and 8th in the nation in points a game.
Yeah.
So his offense is actually, I was looking at some metrics, his offense is really good. It's his defense that has a problem. And if you watch Florida State football this year or last year, can we please get a defensive coordinator? Oh, it's killing me. But Norvell's got a good coaching tree. If you look at who he's sent to other levels, he's got currently the offensive coordinator at Auburn, at Texas A&M, Notre Dame, and Tulane all came from Memphis.
Wow.
And the defensive coordinator at Georgia also came from under Norvell. So he's proven that he can coach. He's proven that he can pick the right people and kind of increase their
the players.
Yeah. So Clayton and I have been talking. I think he's growing on me. Norvell's growing on me. I hope that's not just because he's the last one left.
Yeah, this is good.
And I'm trying to talk myself into it.
I'm okay with this.
But I think he can be okay. He's got to have discipline. The terrible thing about this is it just looks stupid on Florida State.
Yeah,
it looks like a pie in the face. It's not Tennessee coaching search, folks. Let me throw that out there.
We don't want him.
We didn't change athletic directors in the middle of it when ours staged a coup and brought his guy in. I'm just throwing that out there.
We got our guy.
But we got him.
We got the best of what was left.
Yours just fired, ours isn't. But anyway, I think we'll be okay. If depending on what source of info you look at, if you look at warchant.com, Warchant still thinks that Bob Stoops is coming to Florida State. So if you like Warchant and you like Florida State, you can get your hopes up.
That's our John Gruden golden egg.
Yeah, so
I saw Bob Stoops in Tallahassee yesterday.
So Bob Stoops, well, yesterday actually, the Dallas Renegades of the XFL actually put out videos of him at football practice.
Just so you know,
he's there in Dallas. But people in Warchant still think that he's coming.
Yeah. I think some people still think John Gruden's coming to Knoxville, so
next
that's okay.
Year.
Yeah.
It's next year. Next year's our year. So I think overall, Florida State coaching search, I don't want to do another one in 2 years. I hope Norvell works out.
I think it'll be him.
I'm cautiously optimistic. He's got to pick the right D coordinator. But I think moving forward, the Noles are coming back. Let me just say it now.
Calling my shot. Eventually, they're going to be back.
Hopefully it's not 20 years like Nebraska. Sorry, Coach Murphy. But hopefully Florida State will be back. They've got enough around them. So we're going to wrap up this section. We'll be back right after these messages.
Kyle and I would love to hear from you here on the Coach's Office. If you're on the Facebook, make sure you leave us a comment. Let us know what you'd love to hear on the upcoming episodes, or on Twitter at coaching_office. Give us a follow. Retweet all your favorite moments here at the Coach's Office. If you're following along on iTunes or Google Play, be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that 5 stars, and tell us just how much you love the show. Now, let's head back inside the Coach's Office.
Now we're back inside the coach's office. We're going to talk about early signing day, or what I now call the normal signing day. And we're going to talk about when to fire a coach. Now, I think this early signing day has become the traditional signing day now. Over 80% of the people that sign, guys that sign, usually sign on this early signing day. And then you got who's left as the next. So I think it should be called early signing or signing day, and then late signing day.
Late signing day.
We're going to refer to it like that.
And these guys will probably be on campus in January.
Yeah, definitely. So early signing day, we're looking at top 5 right now for classes. Clemson's number 1, and they've got a stacked class. LSU's number 2 with all their momentum. Alabama 3, Ohio State 4, and Georgia 5. So the usual suspects,
right?
1 through 5. There's a reason why they're there. There's a reason why they play for championships every year. Notice Florida State's not in there.
Well, I think
Or
Tennessee. I think Pruitt, his recruiting class, I kind of like the way that he's going after. Like, you have all these 5-star quote unquote guys. You have these blue chippers, these top guys that end up being a bust. Tennessee's seen their share. Pruitt, and he's mentioned this, is taking an angle of, I'm going for coachability. I'm going for potential. And so I think that kind of changes things a little bit as far as he's looking for guys that maybe run track, that have some speed, that could translate over to football, things like that. So he's trying to take his approach a little bit different. And will it pay off? I think it could. It's going to be tough to see in the long run. I think he's got the right coaching staff, T. Martin and Coach Winky. And that's just still weird to me.
Chris
Winky.
Winky.
Cheney,
Heisman Trophy winner.
and Ansley, and just his staff. I think he's got the right staff to coach these guys up. So it'll be curious to see the way that Pruitt builds this Tennessee program, essentially from the ground up, but with your non-traditional, flashy signing guys that you normally get the fastest and the biggest and the best, and to see if his approach of we're looking for those 3-star middle tier guys that are kind of under the radar, and we'll see how it works for him. But I think it could work out.
Yeah, I think Tennessee's done a good job this year, and I think the staff has done a good job this year of getting better.
Yeah,
and that's something you want to see. That's something Florida State didn't do, and that's why they fired him so early. They started out slow, and they've progressed, and they've had their growing pains, like any team that's got a new coach. But they've done well, progressing and getting better as the year has gone on. And if you look at the lower tier, not the lower tier, but like the second tier teams like Minnesota, Penn State, they don't get the top guys.
Yeah.
The top dudes are going to these top 5 teams: Clemson, LSU, Alabama.
The same old.
So it's important to get the right fit. PJ Fleck talks about getting the right guy to be a Minnesota player. It's got to be somebody that buys in, and I think Tennessee's doing a good job of that. And I think they're steadily improving.
Yeah.
And I think Pruitt is the guy to lead them to the next step, the next level. I think the SEC East is wide open.
Yeah, I think they could be competitive next year.
If they catch up in recruiting, I think they'll be fine. And I think they're good.
I think Florida will be the difference next year. I think Georgia is going to take a step back, and I think it'll be Florida's division to lose next year. But I think Tennessee, I think they can make some noise next year. I think that's going to be tough. Getting those right guys, getting them guys on campus early. We're going to have a ton of quarterbacks on the roster next year. I think that's going to be his biggest. That's going to be his biggest thing is who's going to be the quarterback going. Eric Gray showed that he can be a running back for this team. The offensive line finally started coming together. Hopefully Trey Smith comes back. I could see him going if the draft is right. We lose a lot in Callaway and Juwan Jennings, but I think that the biggest thing is going to be the quarterback position. And if you can figure that quarterback position out, I think they could be tough next year.
I wish Florida State had that problem. We haven't signed. Part of Willie's downfall is he didn't sign a high school quarterback.
Wow.
In our quarterback room, we had two guys that were on, 2 transfers, a walk-on, and James Blackman. And that was
That'll do. Good enough.
frustrating. That was his problem. But let's talk about firing coaches and early signing days. So early signing days is about 3 weeks after the end of the regular season. So you've got 3 weeks to get your guys in there. You've got two weeks of 2 weekends that you can get your guys in there, and that's it. And everybody wants their guys in there. Everybody wants that last weekend to say, "Hey, come on to us."
That's tough.
And 80% of the people are signing in that first signing week, December 18th. So you got to compete with everybody else. You got to get them on campus. You got to make them feel good.
And you're recruiting. I mean, you think about even Norville at Memphis. Say he ends up at Florida State. He's been working the recruiting trail for Memphis, unless he knows some things that we don't know. And when he's on the recruiting trail, like, hey, Florida State. But I mean, to me, the hardest part is I'm recruiting for a school that I may not be at in 2 weeks. So, I mean, I guess that's where you got to kind of make up your mind early on, kind of like a James Franklin or a Matt Campbell and some of these guys that have been up for the Florida State job. It's, am I going to stay here because I've already put this much work into it? What am I going to sign in this early sign? You know what I mean? So That's tough.
Yeah,
That's,
you can't really dilly dally. You got to make a decision. I want to go or I want to stay.
and
I
early.
think a lot of those, except for Franklin, who just came out today, but I think a lot of them have decided pretty early. So the question is, when do you fire a coach?
Well, I
You
mean,
know? You've got
tough.
So as an athletic director, you've got 3 weeks from the end of the season. Used to be it was in I think it was the second or third week in February. You had
Right.
plenty of time.
Yeah.
Fire your coach a couple weeks after.
Take your time.
Take your time.
Find your guy.
Find somebody else. It's this National Signing Day has really ramped up because if you don't get somebody before this, you're going to have a pretty much washed class.
Yeah.
And with Florida State's spot, essentially 2 out of the last 3 classes are going to be these washed spots.
You've
So
given it up.
we're already. It's frustrating. They're already in a hole as far as recruiting classes. But when you fire a coach, Florida State took the I don't know what you call it. Took the idea to fire him.
Early, they're better.
Early.
Yeah.
A month before the season ended. Why? I thought they fired him early because they were going after Bob Stoops, and if they could get him, they were going to get him in there, start recruiting. Nobody's going to leave. Like I said earlier, nobody's going to leave your place. Week 8.
Well, especially if
Y'all can have it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you think about the names that were on that list: Fleck, Franklin. These guys are still in. When Taggart was let go, these guys are still in the hunt for the Big Ten. I mean, these guys are still. I mean, up until Minnesota got beat last week, I mean, they were up to maybe have a shot at the Big Ten title.
Right.
And the conversation of win the Big Ten title, you're in the playoff. So, I mean,
Right.
Fleck's not going to how crazy would it be to say, and I'm going to Florida State?
Thank you, Theo.
Yeah, well, see y'all later, because now you're leaving a title contending team, number one. And you're definitely not going to tell them I'm leaving, but still stick around. Like, hey, just so you know, I'll probably be gone. So, to me, I guess the angle that I would have to approach it is get through signing day. Get as many guys as you can on campus. And hope that the next hire you have coming in can persuade those guys to stay. And you sell them on, hey, you came here before. We're going to be better. So how about you stick it out with us?
Yeah.
So
That's a good idea.
I think I'd rather have a coach through signing day than like where Florida State is right now. Hey, who you got, and who's to say that the next coach retains anybody that's there right now. So I think you have to retain the right guys to keep some of those recruits in.
Right. One of the things that Florida State talked about was just getting kids to say, I'll at least think about it until February.
Yeah.
I won't sign in December.
Yeah.
I'll think about it until February. And I think that not really saved their first class, but it kind of made it a lot better than it would have been.
Yeah.
If you just get these kids, hey, listen, let me prove myself. Let us get a relationship with each other. Some of these kids that they've never even talked to, hey, let's slow down. You've got, if you're not enrolling in December, it doesn't really matter anyway,
And you've got plenty of time to decide.
Plenty of time. Just take your time. Nobody's going to be. You can be I think one of the appeals is you can be one of the big cats on signing day. Everybody's going to be watching to see where you go.
You're one of the last ones
So
left.
I think that's also another approach. Just try and talk them into, let's just wait.
Yeah.
So I don't know the answer. The early signing day period definitely influences coaching searches, I think.
It makes people feel like they've got to make a decision faster.
Yeah, and I've definitely felt that in this last week or two. Florida State's got to hire somebody.
I'm surprised it's gone on this long.
Yeah, I think they've waited on Norvell. I think Bud and Ingram on the Nolecast put it, you don't want to get your team to the coup de grace of your season, the conference championship, and you just say, all right, fellas, you got it. I'm going to Florida State. Yeah. You want to be with those guys. And then what message does that really send if you leave before the biggest game of the year?
Yeah.
You
put in all this time.
These guys aren't making, they're not making the playoffs. This is the biggest game. The bowl system, that's all.
They're not going to get a great bowl bid.
Yeah.
I mean,
they may, who knows, but it's
Memphis could.
It's not what it used to be, but the AAC championship is the place to be for them. So the word on the street is this weekend, whenever this podcast comes out, this weekend, early December.
Here we are, early December. I think as soon as Sunday, I think you could hear something come up. I think Sunday, Monday is when Florida State is going to announce it.
I think it might be like Scott Frost and announce
Yeah.
it at halftime while he's on the sideline.
Yeah.
That's what he did at UCF on his way to.
I'm going to coach them in this, and then I'm going to
Nebraska.
coach them in their bowl game, and then I'm going to leave.
Yeah. So
Win it now. If they lose, maybe not, because then they'll probably end up in the whatever bowl, and it won't matter. But if they win, I mean, they got potential to be in a pretty decent bowl. So,
yeah.
So I think that he'll, just like Frost, he's like, no, we're going to play in the Peach Bowl, and I'm going to go beat.
Bring some money to their school.
I'm going to beat Auburn, and then I'm going to go to Nebraska. And
We're going to win the national championship.
yeah, and now he's wishing he stayed in. He's wishing he stayed
Orlando.
at UCF.
Yeah.
Right now, Memphis is projected to play in the Cotton Bowl against the Utes, assuming Utah is not in, because right now the playoff is obviously Ohio State. Now, as far as
Circles back to our.
well, the last update I got from CBS on their NCAA,
You got them on the speed dial?
yeah, on projection is that it's going to be Ohio State, Oklahoma as the 4,
That's who I think.
and then LSU, Clemson.
That's who I think. Yeah.
So
That's my 4.
I think if I had to choose out of where that is right now, Ohio State LSU national championship to me is the best. I don't think that a Clemson Ohio State national championship has the appeal.
Don't count them out. They've been there forever.
They'll be there,
They're seeking their 5th time in the college football
which
playoff,
sticks
by the way.
Georgia, Baylor in the Sugar Bowl, Wisconsin, Oregon in the Rose Bowl, the Cavaliers of Virginia and Florida in the Orange Bowl,
Go Who's.
and the Memphis Tigers and Utah Utes in the Cotton Bowl.
I'll have to figure out if I want to shout ACC. ACC. I don't know. I don't know if I'll do that.
It doesn't have the same ring to it as SEC.
Yeah, it doesn't. I'm not a huge cheerer of my conference.
So that's what it's looking at right now, and then so for that to be, that's going to be tough, a tough decision there for Norvell to make that decision, and then the mighty Seminoles looking at the Independence Bowl, December 26th against the mighty Western Kentucky Broncos.
Come get some, Broncos.
So to me at this point, I don't think Florida State's in a position to turn that down.
Come get some.
I think you take a bowl game. The Independence Bowl is not that bad.
I don't think they want to go there, but
Probably not.
we'll go down there and beat some Broncos.
Yeah, so as of right now, that's kind of the way that it's shaken out. Notable Notre Dame versus Texas in the Camping World Bowl. I think Tennessee, Louisville in the Music City Bowl is a win for them.
I think Texas last year, was that the one where they said we're back?
We're back.
Same place?
Yeah, so now that didn't work out.
So they
for
are
them.
back.
No, they said that was the Sugar Bowl
Oh, it wasn't.
against Georgia.
Nah, forget them.
So that didn't work out
So
for
they're
them.
not back.
Penn State, Auburn in the Outback Bowl, I think would be a good draw, and then the Gophers and the Crimson Tide in the Citrus Bowl. So that'd be a chance for Fleck to kind of prove his worth there and row the boat against the mighty Saban. I don't know that Saban loses that game.
If you can beat the Sabanites, that may be big.
The Fighting Sabans. So bowl season is upon us, which brings up the thought and the challenge for bowl picks. We'll be doing that once again. We'll be giving out the T-shirt, Coach Hensley. We've not forgot about you. The winner of last year's. We had to come back to it again to remember to give you your shirt. But you will be getting that shirt anytime, any day now. You just keep watching the mailbox. And so we'll be doing the bowl picks again this year, so keep your eye out on that when we release those brackets and everything we got going on. It was pretty fun last year. Came down to the wire as far as who ended up being the winner.
I'm winning this year. So
I'm going to take it this year. I put too much thought in it last year. Too much thought in it. I got to go with my gut. And I went with more statistics last year.
I went with my gut, and it was pretty close.
Yeah, I went based on statistics last year, and
I filled it out in about 3 minutes. I'm not even gonna lie.
It took me about 3 days, and I did not. I was maybe in the middle.
I mean, sick.
It didn't.
I just don't feel good.
This sucks.
Who's it gonna be?
Well, then it takes away from the magic of bowl season, which is you want the underdogs to win when they're not supposed to win, so on and so forth. The feel good wins.
Just write them down.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Maybe I'll submit 2. I don't know. We'll see.
Keep an eye out for that.
So that's all we've got for you for this episode of the Coach's Office. Remember, as always, follow us on all our social media accounts on Facebook, on Twitter, and on Instagram. Make sure you give us those shout-outs. If you've got something that you want to share with us in any conversation on the episode, make sure you tag us on any of those social media sites. Also, check us out on our website, coachesofficeshow.com. As as we get that going back underway again. We're excited to be back. Season 3 is on the air and wide open.
Yeah, definitely. Check us out. Tell us who your top 4 are. We'd love to hear from you. Tell us your top 4 and why you think they're the top 4. And we don't have a lot of time for that. It's coming soon.
It's going to have to be fast.
But for Matt Ripley and myself, Kyle Donahue, we thank you for listening in. Hopefully you've had a good time. Hopefully you gained a little knowledge. Hopefully you haven't lost a little knowledge. But as always, if you're last one out, turn off the lights and lock up the gate.
This has been a presentation of the Coach's Office, produced by Quotable Productions.